Saturday. Yay, it's Saturday. Yay, it's Saturday. And not only is it Saturday, but it is the last Saturday in August. Boom. Yes. Not that many more Saturdays to go, and summer will be over. No, no, I hope everyone is having a great Saturday. It has been 7 whole days since I've seen you all. I have missed you guys so much. Now, throughout the week, you may have encountered some highs or some lows, maybe even some setbacks, and you wanted to question some things. And it's okay to be there. It's perfectly fine. Just don't stay in that space. We still want to thank God for being in the land of the living and that we are still here because we have purpose. Yes. So again, welcome to Saturday, August the 30th. Now, as you know, I like to bring in some fun, interesting facts. Whoa, I don't know about you all, but I'm definitely interested in facts, period, but food facts because I love food, right? Who doesn't love food? Really? Okay, so my first fun fact. Has anybody ever wondered why there are holes in crackers? I know I have. Sometimes I've counted the holes to see how many is in the square cracker versus the circle cracker or the odd shaped cracker that Ritz makes. Yeah. But anyway, now crackers have holes in them, but they're known as docking holes. And it allows the steam to escape while they're baking. And it prevents them from forming large air bubbles. Now, some crackers I've seen had them big bubbles in there, but you know they can let one slip through, but it's okay. But that's what it's there for. And it ensures that the cracker bakes evenly and it bakes flat and to a crisp. Also, the holes are called release valves, allowing steam from the dough's liquid ingredients to escape rather than stay within the cracker and causing it to hold all the moisture. Because if it did, it wouldn't be a cracker, it would be considered a biscuit. So now we know why crackers have holes in them. I'm so glad I know that. Now, next fun fact. I learned this from a professor, Professor Bowl. Bless her heart. And you know, she used to talk to us a lot about food, how you figure out what's in food, what to look for, the expiration date, etc. So throughout my life, after, having Professor Bowl as a professor, I would look at expiration dates and some things you would think, why is there an expiration date on it? Like literally water. You can run water out the faucet. No matter when you cut it on or cut it off, it does not expire. Yet, water bottles have expiration dates. That seemed puzzling to me. And I just wanted to know why, in fact, does water bottles have expiration dates when water doesn't expire? Now, several weeks ago, we learned that honey does not spoil. So now we know that water does not spoil. But let me tell you why there is an expiration date on the water's bottle. Now, expiration dates on the water's bottle is not for the water itself. Of course, because as I said, water doesn't expire. But it's for the plastic bottles itself, which can degrade over time and leach chemicals into the water, affecting the water's taste and the water's purity. So that's why that expiration date is there. No, water doesn't expire, but the chemicals within that bottle. So yeah, that's very, very, very important. So now when I look at the expiration date, I'm hoping to find someone else in the grocery store looking at the expiration date so I can tell them why it's there. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to go to the grocery store. Yes, we are still in the month of August. And as we're in the month of August, we are still celebrating those August birthdays, right? So again, my special shout outs for happy birthday to any August birthday. Let me just start there. If your birthday is in August and you are celebrating, happy birthday to you. Get birthday cake and ice cream wasted. That is so important. Birthday cake is so good. Buttercream icing, please. I don't have to have no filling. Just give me the cake with the buttercream icing. But anyway, my special birthday shouts go out to my wife, Jazz, my nephew, Chimp, my best friend, Chrissy, and my Nana. Nana, rest in heaven. My Nana's birthday was just August 28th. So if you're celebrating birthdays still, we have one more day in the month of August. And if you're like me, you're going to celebrate for the entire month as well as the entire zodiac season. So thumbs up to you. Enjoy. I got some announcements to make, as I always do. Of course, you know, I'm full of information. I got to get this information out of my head and give it to you all so I can make more room in my head for more information. That's just how I look at it, right? So, as you all know, we are on a federal government deadline. Definitely. We are on that deadline. All preparers, we are working endlessly. We are working long hours, trying to get everything submitted and ready for the federal and state entities. So if you have a corporation return and you file out on forms 1120, 1120S's, 1065s, 990s, etc., guess what? You have exactly 16 days from today, which will be September 15th, to get that tax return processed and submitted into the federal and state entities. That is so important. So important. If not, you can get a late filing fee, and a late penalty fee will be assessed if there is a balance with that tax return. Now, if you know that you're going to owe a balance, you can always go in there and make that estimated tax payment for that tax year's balance. That will help you in the long run. For our individuals that file out on Form 1040, and let's just say you are your own owner operator and you have an LLC attached to you where the profit or loss transfers over to Form 1040, excluding today, you have 46 days, which will be October 15th, to get your tax return completed and submitted into the federal and state entities, okay? 46 days for you all. Now, it doesn't seem like time has passed, but I remember when I started telling the time back in July, the beginning of July. And now look, we're at the beginning of September. So time waits on no one. Time will come by and hit you upside your head and keep going. Also, if you can, please like, love, and share the content. You never know who is struggling behind a tax situation, and you never know who may need some help. A lot of people don't like to talk about their finances, but if you send this information to them, they can always contact Anointed County. What's up, Big V? That's my brother, y'all. He on live. Say what's up, what's up, what's up. So, if you guys missed last week's show, no problem. You can still catch it on Facebook. Better yet, you can go on over to YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Anointed County, and you can see every show that I have done, plus this one. And also last week's. But last week, I talked about client accountability and how that helps you. I talked about your rights as a client when it comes to the federal and state entities. I also talked about being nosy about what is attached to your name and your social. It's so important. It is okay to be nosy about you. I keep reiterating that. Don't wait till the last minute and be caught off guard because you were not aware. As the Bible says, our people lack of knowledge, and that's because we're not aware. But I am making you aware to be nosy about you and your finances, okay? But you want more information, go ahead and watch that show, because not only did we talk about client accountability, we talked about tax write-offs, we talked about tax deductions, which is a difference, and we talked about non-refundable credits. So that is so important because guess what? We're still in tax season. I love you too, big brother. I love you too. I gotta have you on my show. But anyway, okay, keep going. So today's show, and you know they say you save the best for last, and I try to. All my shows are the best because, I'm the best. But anyway, I have a love for all of my clients, and I have a love for every industry that's out there because I believe you learn something different in every industry, right? But I have a love for my truck drivers. Oh, I have a love for you that is not explainable. And not just truck drivers, period, but if you have a ride sharing service, if you have a limo service, if you have a car service, you fall in that category with truck drivers, okay? And today I am talking to you all. Yes, yes, yes. So, first things first. What is the difference between a W-2 truck driver and a 1099 truck driver? And I know you may say, Shavonna, well, we all know that, but you'd be surprised at the conversations that I have and the questions that come through. So let me give you the breakdown. The primary difference between the W-2 truck driver and the 1099 truck driver is the employment status and the corresponding responsibilities, taxes, benefits, and business expenses. That is the overall difference. A W-2 driver is, of course, a company driver, and a 1099 driver is, of course, you are your own owner operator. You receive a 1099 at the end of the year. You are responsible for all of your expenses. Basically, that sums it up. As I stated in July when I was talking about W-2 employees, a W-2, if you're on a W-2, your time is controlled. So if you have to punch in and out and you have to be at work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 7, someone is controlling your time. You are considered a W-2 employee. Now, let's just say someone needs your service on Monday and they call you or they dispatch you and you go and do the service and you're done. That's your time. You're not locked into a time unless you fully agree to that time. And if that time goes over, that's up on you and that person. Because you're a 1099 employee, you set your own hourly rate. Okay? That is the difference. Know the difference. And I'm going to get deeper into that as the show goes on. Now, a W-2 employee, as I said, is a company driver, and they have less of a financial responsibility, whereas a 1099 may have, okay? Now, also with a W-2 employee, the burden is not at the risk of being a 1099 employee, okay? Now, with the 1099 employee, you are your own owner operator. So, for example, I love to use myself as an example. I would be considered a 1099 employee if I worked for anyone because they don't control my time. They are contracting my services out, or there's different products that they may need. So I'm considered that 1099 employee, okay? A 1099 independent contractor, a driver operates their own business, has more control over their work, and they are responsible for all of their expenses related to the business. Bam, right there. There you have it. So if you're on a W-2, you don't get to write off all of those expenses that a 1099 employee may write off, okay? Now, let's dig into the comparison. I done gave you the breakdown. I done gave you the definition. Let's look at the pros and cons of this, right? And don't get me wrong, I think that there are pros and cons to everything. It's just how you choose to deal with it. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a client last night and she stated, well, you just work all type of hours. And I told her, Yes, absolutely I do, because I care about every shift that's out there, whether it's 6 to 2 a.m., 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5. You still have a 2 to 10 shift. You have a 3 to 11. You have a 4 to 12. What about that overnight shift? So I try to make myself available for every shift. So I may work overnight tonight, but tomorrow I may work in the afternoon. I love having that control of my time. So that makes me that 1099 contractor. Now, when I'm in corporate America and I have to be there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I'm that W-2 employee. So now, here are the benefits of a W-2 driver, whether you're a truck driver, a limo driver, a rideshare driver, a taxi driver. Here are the benefits if you are a W-2 driver. Typically, you're offered employee benefits like health insurance, retirement plans like 401k, and paid time off, because the job has that for you depending on what company you work for. Okay? An employee for the company, you're considered a company driver. You're not your own operator. You work for that company. You drive one of their trucks. Okay. Now, when it comes to the equipment, the company provides and maintains the truck. So if you work for a company, you are driving their truck. That truck has their logo. So they're going to supply the fuel. They're going to supply the cost of the tolls. They're going to supply the maintenance. They're going to supply the upkeep and the insurance for that truck. That does not come out of your pocket. Also, let's say you're a limo driver for a company. They're going to provide you with the same thing. You have their company car, their company logo. They cover all of those expenses. This is the W-2 employee. We're going to talk about the 1099 employee momentarily. Now, business-related expenses are typically covered by the company, as I stated. The driver cannot deduct these operational expenses from their tax return. Let me say that again. The driver, if you are a W-2 employee, cannot deduct the operational expenses from your tax return. You cannot do that whatsoever. Okay? These expenses, as I stated, would include insurance, fuel, tolls, maintenance, etc. You cannot deduct those, unfortunately. As a W-2 employee, you have flexibility and control, which means you don't have as much as the 1099 employee has. But when it comes to driving, depending on who your dispatcher is and how long you've been with the company, you may be able to pick and choose your loads. 9 times out of 10, if that doesn't happen, because you are an employee, you're stuck with any route that they give you. You're assigned to that. And the good thing about that is, let's just say you're supposed to get off at 5 o'clock, but it's 7 o'clock. The company is going to pay you overtime. So that would be your hourly rate plus time and a half, which is great. That's money. Who doesn't like money? Now let's talk about the legal protections of being a W-2 employee. A W-2 truck driver is protected by labor laws. You fall within that category regarding minimum wage, overtime pay, being in a safe working environment, okay? You're protected by those laws. If nothing adds up and stands up to what that company states when you have your onboarding processes, you are able to ask those questions and also bring that to the labor board if you feel that they are not in compliance. That's very important to know. A W-2 employee pay structure, that's important, right? You receive an hourly rate or your salary, or you may or may not, depending on how long you've been with the company, get paid for the load, okay? Sometimes if you're a W-2 employee and you're a truck driver and you go to work, they may tell you, what's up, DJ slash Chef Steve-O? They may tell you that you have 3 loads that need to go out today. So you would do those 3 loads and you would get paid for those 3 loads, but you need to come back to work tomorrow. So you're still that W-2 employee. You just don't have a lot of room to work with because you are under that company as their employee. However, you typically get a consistent wage amount and it's stable income. You know that if you go to work, you're going to get paid every Thursday if you're paid weekly, or you may get paid every Monday if you're paid bi-weekly. It's just based on how the company operates for you to get paid. Now, the stability of being a W-2 truck driver or rideshare or limo driver is it offers job security and consistent income. Because you work for the company, they're going to try to make sure you have enough work because they want you on shift. We call it LIFO. No, I'm sorry, we call it FIFO, first in, first out. So any packages that come in, they want that to be the first to go out and vice versa. So they want that consistency. They want those drivers there to be able to take that load, okay? So it's consistent. When it comes to the tax deductions, again, you don't have a lot of deductions because you are a W-2 employee. The company is covering all of your expenses and all of your upkeep, okay? Now, when it comes to taxes owed, meaning you, the taxpayer, if you owe taxes, typically the tax return is not so complex, right? Because you filled out your W-4 and your state's W-4 and you've elected to have taxes taken out. Plus, that company is matching your Social Security and Medicare wages. So that is also being taken out. The only way you don't see federal or state taxes being withheld is because on those forms, you went exempt. By you going exempt, they're not going to withhold any federal or state earnings, wages. So therefore, at the end of the tax year, when you file, if you have not made those payments quarterly to cover that, you're going to be responsible for that at the end of the year. But you don't want that to happen, right? So it is the company's responsibility to withhold, again, federal, state, Social Security, Medicare, and also FICA. That's not on you. Taxes are automatically withheld from each paycheck by the employer. And the good thing about that is that the employer matches your Social Security and Medicare. So let's just assume you're retired, right? And you've been on this job 19 years, right? And you receive Social Security. Well, guess what? That's money that you and that employer paid into. That's why you're getting that money. Keep in mind, Social Security goes by the 5 jobs that you've had the longest and made the most money. You're not going to get Social Security from every job that you had. So if you had 23 jobs, you're not going to get Social Security from 23 jobs. You're going to get Social Security from those 5 companies that you worked at the longest and made the most. Now, Social Security also sends you a statement. If you have not received your statement, you can contact Social Security and let them know, and they'll be more than happy to issue you that statement out. Now, again, as a W-2 employee, when we're talking about tools and equipment, the driver is using the company's truck. So therefore, the company is supplying all those tools and all the equipment. So if you need a dolly, if you need a power screwdriver, if you need a hammer, whatever it is that you need on that truck, the company is going to supply that. Because again, you are working for them. You're not working for yourself. You're working for them. So those are the benefits of being a W-2 driver. And I say truck driver because I love y'all, but I love all my drivers. So again, this goes for ride sharing. This goes for limo service. This goes for a bus driver. Whatever it is that you're doing, know the difference if you are a W-2 or a 1099 employee. Now, here is a question that was posed to me last week from a truck driver. Shavonna, what if I decide to get paid in cash and I run my own company? Meaning, like, I want to take people to the grocery store, people to the laundromat, and I just want to make a few dollars on the side. Like, do I really have to report that? Absolutely. You are a cash-based employee. You are supposed to report all of your earnings to the federal and state entities. Absolutely. Now, we can talk more about that. Just give us a call at area code 312-837-7219. Now, moving on. I'm going to talk to those drivers that receive 1099s, right? And that's where no taxes is being withheld. You're your own owner operator, and you're out there and you're just making things happen, like whatever it is that you're doing. Now, the benefits for being a 1099 independent contractor is you must obtain your own benefits such as health insurance, retirement, 401k, and savings. So you don't have a company that's backing you on that. So what you would look into is health coverage, dental, vision, medical. You would look into all of that because you are going to be responsible for covering all of those expenses for yourself. No one is there to help you for that, okay? Your employment status is a self-employed business owner or an owner-operator who contracts services to a company. So let's just say, I don't know, a company calls and says, hey, I need you to go pick up a load for me. Would you be able to go do it? You sit and you talk to that person, you get all the logistics, you guys talk about a fare, and guess what? You're on your way. But it's how you see fit, okay? The expenses, just like if you were a W-2, the company covers the expenses. Now, because you're a 1099 worker, you cover your own expenses. No one is covering your expenses for you. So you can't look and be like, oh man, this broke down. The company, no, you are the company. Oh, this happened. So you are the company. No one is going to cover those expenses but you. The business expenses include fuel, maintenance, insurance, truck payments. Let's say you don't own your truck or your trailer. You have to make payments on that. You pay for that. Let's say you're a driver. Let's use Uber and Lyft. Let's say you rent a car. You have to pay their rental fee every week, regardless if you make money or not. You have to pay for that. That's your responsibility. No one is matching or covering that but you. Now, you can also, being a 1099 employee, you can deduct all of your expenses. That's why it's best to keep all of your receipts. If you have a problem with all of your receipts, take a picture of your receipts, email it to yourself, email it to your accountant or your preparer. They'll put it in the file. At the end of the year, they'll have it. You don't want to lose your receipts because that's money that you spent that you're basically just giving away. If you spent the money on upkeep, maintenance, insurance, keep those receipts. It's going to be so beneficial for you at the end of the year when you're filing, okay? Now, because you are a 1099 employee, you have the flexibility to control your time. The example I gave earlier was myself. I worked last night. As a matter of fact, I worked all of last night. And when I stopped working, it was maybe about 7:30 this morning. I may work again tonight. It just depends on how I see fit to do things. I control my own schedule. If I'm in corporate America and they say I'm supposed to come in Tuesday through Friday from 7 to 3, I'm considered that W-2 employee, okay? But I have my own control over my own schedule. Being that driver, you have the choice to choose your loads. You can set your schedule. You can decide the routes you want to go on. So let's just say you want to come home every night. You don't have to be an over the road driver. You can say, listen, I'm only doing Michigan, I'm only doing Missouri, I'm only doing Indiana, and I'm only doing Illinois. I want to be home every night. Or you may want to say, guess what? Send me wherever you want me to go. I don't even care. I just want to go. You have that freedom to choose what it is you want to choose because you can control your time, your schedules, and your routes. Okay. Now, the legal protections for a 1099 driver, you don't have as many as a W-2 employee, but you do have the right to have workers' compensation. So you can get with an insurance company like State Farm and you can ask them for workers' compensation. That would be your insurance if something happened to you and you needed to take off work, okay? Now, the pay structure. I found this when I heard truckers talk about this. I felt like I needed to be a truck driver. But being a driver is paid by the load or by the mile. So let's just say you got 4 loads in one day and each load is $500. Well, in one day, you didn't receive $2,000 for 4 loads. Now, let's just say you have a longer route. Let's just say you have to go between here and Mississippi and you're getting paid by the mile. I don't know how many miles that is, but if you're getting paid between 39 cents and 59 cents to go that long of a route, I'm going to do it because the money is good. The money is very good. So that's just something to keep in mind, okay? Your pay structure, again, is very important when you are a 1099 employee because you're getting paid right at that moment. You're getting paid after that job is finished, okay? The stability for a 1099 worker, the income is not always guaranteed. It can vary dependent on market conditions. So like now, I hear some of the truck drivers saying, it's kind of slow, you know, it's not enough work in the yard. A lot of things are happening. As a matter of fact, someone was telling me that there's a lot of things that's being stopped that's trying to come over so the truck drivers can get it dispersed. So it just depends on if you're that owner operator and business is slow for you, okay? But you are marketable because let's just say it's too slow for you. You can always apply to be a W-2 employee for that stability and that consistency, okay? When it comes to your tax deductions, there is a wide range of deductions that you can have, okay? You can deduct fuel, you can deduct tolls, you can deduct those truck payments, you can deduct those insurance payments, the uniforms that you buy, the maintenance for the uniform, upkeep of that. Those are just a few expenses. But get with your accountant or your tax preparer so you can know what you can and cannot deduct as an owner operator. Whether, again, you're a truck driver, you're a rideshare driver, you're a limo driver, get with that individual so you can know what you're able to deduct. Now, when it comes to your tax returns, it is a bit more complex because now we're dealing with receipts. We want all of your receipts. We want your bank statements. We want your invoices, especially if we're not doing the bookkeeping services for you. We want to make sure and ensure that you're getting all of your deductions that's for you. We don't want to waste any time with that, okay? Now, because you are your own owner operator, just like the W-2 employee, their employer was matching their Social Security and Medicare. Because you're a 1099 employee, no employer is matching that. You are your employer. So when it comes to that Social Security and Medicare, you're paying that percentage, which is 15.3%. That's 7.65% from Social Security and Medicare, and that's 7.65% from you. Combined is 15.3%. You're paying all of that. No one is matching it. The good thing about that is when you file your taxes, you're not taxed on the entire 15.3%. You're only taxed on half of that. So you will see the half of that on page 1, but you would see the total amount of the taxes on page 2 of your 1040. I talked about that in the month of July. Look at that show. Now, there's no taxes being withheld if you are a 1099 employee. No taxes out of your paycheck. If you made $500, your paycheck is going to say $500. If you made $267.44, your paycheck is going to say $267.44. That means at the end of the year, whatever you done made collectively for the time frame that you worked, that 1099 should reflect that. Keep all of your receipts from your workloads, trip loads. That is so important. Even if you are a rideshare driver, keep a daily log. Write stuff down. If you don't want to write it, depending on the phones that you have, go to the note section. Voice memo it in so you can have it. So when it's time to sit down and release everything over to your accountant or your preparer, everything is right there. We're not looking or scrambling for anything. It is best practice if you are a 1099 worker to save between 25 and 33% of taxes. That's going to help you cover the federal and state taxes off the earnings that you made as a whole. Yes, that's going to help you. It may sound like a lot, but it just depends on how you're budgeting. That's why you need to be best friends with your accountant so they can help you. Here are my recommendations for a W-2 trucker, driver, and a 1099 driver for the company or owner operator. Matter of fact, here's my recommendation for anybody on this one. Check your paycheck stubs regularly. We done got so accustomed to receiving direct deposit, we no longer look at our check stubs. We don't find an issue until the end of the year when we owe money. We never ask questions when we get money back. But if we owe money, we want to know why. So my question to individuals is, did you look at your check stub? Were taxes withheld? Because people make errors. It happens. No one is perfect. Check your check stubs. And I'm not saying be an expert, but look to see if withholdings are being withheld. If you feel like there's an issue, get with your accountant or your tax preparer. I'm sure they'll be able to look at your check stub and say, hey, this is an issue right here. This may not be beneficial for you. This is what you need to do. A plan of action can go into effect for you. Make sure your employer is withholding the right amount. That's why it's so important to know what you're putting on Form W-4 and ILW-4. And I'm talking about the state of Illinois because I reside in the state of Illinois. But every state form is different. The federal form is universal, okay? That's very important. Adjust your W-4 to the amount of withholdings that need be come out. Don't try to get over, because at the end of the year, you will find yourself in a deficit. Shavonna, what are you talking about? On your W-4, don't claim single and 6. They're not going to withhold anything. So at the end of the year, you're going to be at a deficit. You might as well go exempt. Don't do married and claim 9. They're not going to withhold anything. Nothing at all. So if you owe, you're going to be in a deficit, but it's going to be your own fault. As I tell people, you can't have it both ways. You cannot get the money throughout the year, and then when you file your taxes, look for a refund. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. Take advantage of your benefits if you are a W-2 worker, which means get the company health insurance. Utilize that 401k. If per diems are available, utilize that. That helps you as the driver. That covers a lot of your expenses. You don't have to come out of pocket with that. Help yourself. That's important. Contribute enough to your 401k. So if the company is doing a dollar for dollar match, you do what you do. You can start at 3%, 5%, 7%, go all the way up to 100%. But utilize that because that's your money. When you retire, you can sit back and say, I work for this. This is my money. And it's okay. My mom used to say, look, I went to work every day. I work for this money. This is mine. I do what I want to do with it. And she did. Save on the side. Because you are a W-2 employee, save every paycheck. And I call it emergency savings, rainy day savings, just because savings, I want to savings. You can name it whatever you want to name it, just save. And I'm not going to tell you to start with an astronomical amount. I'm going to tell you start with $5 a month. You got to start somewhere because with our economy today, every little bit helps. If you're able to have some deductions, track them, know what the deductions are. Go to your accountant and your preparer and say, hey, I have this. Is it okay if I use this? Can I write this off? Is this beneficial for me? Yes, do that. That's important. Plan for the future. Use that stable income to build credit. Build you a line of credit because you will need that. Some people buy a home. Some people save for vacation. Some people even save for retirement. Like they know that they have retirement coming out of their check, but this is just that money in the cookie jar. This is just a little bit extra. I'm not worried about it being taxed. It's already saved. I can go to it when I need it. Have that money readily available for you. Okay, my W-2 people? Now, here are my recommendations for my 1099 people. Again, set aside, and I'm going to tell you to set aside 34% in taxes because that's going to cover you federally. That's going to cover you statewide. So when you file your taxes and after all of your deductions and write-offs and exemptions, you have a balance owed, you can pay that balance going in. Sometimes if that balance is not paid going in, the balance that you owe, the interest and penalties that will get assessed to that will outweigh the actual balance that was owed when it initially went in. Shavonna, what are you saying? Let's assume you owed $500 and you didn't pay that $500. But now your interest and penalties have accumulated to almost $700. So you no longer owe $500, you now owe $1,200 because your interest and penalties have outweighed the balance that you actually owe. Don't let that happen. Set aside that 30%. If you're afraid that you're going to spend that money, make the estimated tax payment. Let them take it out. It's already there. You don't have to worry about spending it because trust me, soon as you hit that submit button, the federal and state is going to take their money. They are not going to wait. Keep records. Keep those receipts. I have clients, I have truckers right now that'll call me and say, hey, Shavonna, I'm on the road. I should be in Illinois at about 2 a.m. Can I come drop off these receipts I got? Absolutely. I will wake up for that because when I need those receipts and you don't have them, I'm going to be so angry. but I'm going to be angry at myself because I wasn't there to get them receipts from you. You did your due diligence. You did as I'm advising you to do. So, again, gas, tolls, anything you spend money on that's for that business, you need to have a receipt for that. You need to have an invoice for that. If you're using a credit card or debit card, the bank statements and credit card statements are important. Save those statements. A lot of people think that banks hold on to those statements. No, download and save all of your statements. Have records of that. Again, it is okay to be nosy about you. Know what's attached to your name and your social. Know what's out there on income. It's very, very, very important, okay? Now, find out what you can deduct because you don't know all of your deductions. That's where this conversation comes in with your accounting, your preparer. Find out what you can write off. Find out if this is beneficial to you. Have those conversations. Even while you're on the job, let's just say another opportunity comes up. Call your accountant. Hey, this opportunity came up. I don't know if it'll hurt me or help me. What do you suggest? You're going to talk about that. That's where that consultation comes in. That is so important. You don't want to forget anything. You want to be able to deduct everything when it comes to lodging, when it comes to meals, when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to the per diem, when it comes to the uniforms. You want to be able to deduct everything, okay? Another thing, and I stress this so much, separate business and personal finances. 1099 people, open up that business bank account. Please, I'm begging you, open that business bank account. I talked about that last week. It is so important. It shows credibility. It shows that you are serious about what you're doing. It shows that you are serious about your business and handling business. Plus, whatever you do personally, you don't want everybody in your personal business. What do you mean, Shavonna? Let's just say you're commingling those funds, business and personal. And at the end of the year, you turn in all your bank statements to me. Now I see everything you're doing. You may be going to the casino. You may be going to the gentleman's club. You may be going to the cigar lounge. I don't need to see none of that. That's not business related. So separate it. Get 2 business accounts. Yes, it's going to cost you a monthly fee, but it's going to also benefit you in the end. Look at the long-term goal versus the short-term goal. 1099 people, protect yourself. Get truck insurance. Get that general liability insurance. Get that business insurance. It's so important. I have an excellent company. I'm with State Farm, but they are so excellent. I have a lot of agencies that I'm connected to that I can help you with, that will help you, that's not out to rob you and take your money from you. That's not what we're here for. Consider opening up your corporation, opening up your LLC, being a sole proprietor, whichever entity you choose to open. Be conscious about it. Do your research. Have those conversations. It's only going to be treated as important as you see fit for it to be treated. If you don't treat it with importance, you can't expect anyone else to treat it with importance, okay? That's important. Also, plan for your retirement. You don't want to work the rest of your life. You want a vacation. You want to travel. You want to see the world. You may even just want to sit at home and binge watch Netflix and Hulu. You have that right, but plan for it. Open up that SEP IRA. Open up that 401k. Save for the future. I cannot stress that enough. Now, you're saying, Shavonna, it's hard to do that. Look at the economy. Look at the world we're in. I get it. I understand. Trust me. I understand. That's why I said start at the bare minimum, $5 a month. Save that. You just never know how that will come into play. And then if you're able to do $10, do $10. Increase it as you see it. Maybe $10 is too much. Maybe go to $6. Maybe go to $6.50. Those 50 cents add up too. Okay. Now, in closing, this is what I have for my drivers. I have a special love for y'all. I really do. Because y'all deal with the public, y'all deal with attitudes, y'all deal with people, y'all are constantly on the road, y'all are pleasing people, like all of it. Whether you're classified as a W-2 employee or a 1099 independent contractor, drivers face unique financial responsibilities. W-2 drivers benefit from stability and employer-provided benefits, while 1099 employees, independent contractors, they don't have that stability. They're paying everything out of their pocket, their taxes, their meals, they're paying for everything. No one is matching anything. They're responsible for everything. In both cases, plan carefully and strategically through budgeting, saving, tax management. I'm going to say that again. Tax management, which means everything starts and ends with the transaction. I learned that from my professor, Professor Mark Yates. Everything starts and ends with the transaction. If you treat everything you do with everything starts and ends of the transaction, you will be doing tax management because you're worried about what's going to happen at the end. I'm sorry, you're concerned about what's going to happen at the end. It's nothing to worry about because you're already on the road to improving that situation. Okay? That's so very important. Again, get with your accountant, your preparer. Know what's going on. Ask those questions. Don't wait till the end of the year. Here are my key takeaway points for you. For my W-2 employee, your focus equals stability, benefits, and saving consistently. 1099 workers, your focus equals treating yourself like a business, planning ahead for taxes, and protecting your income. Let me say that again. W-2s, your focus is stability, benefits, and saving for consistency. 1099 drivers, your focus equals treating yourself like a business, planning ahead for taxes, and protecting your income. Be aware of what you're doing, and if you are unclear and uncertain of what it is you're doing, call your accountant or your tax preparer. They will be more than willing to help you, because helping you is also helping them, because they don't want the headache at the end of the year. They want to help you, so they want the phone calls. I know I do. Call me. If I don't answer, don't leave a message. Send me a text message. I'm going to respond. If you send me an email, I'm going to respond, because again, you're asking for the help. I'm going to help you. Now, next week, yay, next week, baby. As my mama and A. Johnny say, Lord's willing, and I'm here next Saturday, we will be in the month of September. That is the 9th month of the year, which means that's 3 more months left in this year. Whoa, oh boy, yes. Man, I really feel like 2025 just started. Like, where did the year go? But again, time waits on no one. So let me tell you what's so exciting about September, right? September is observed for National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. Labor Day is celebrated on the first Monday to honor the contributions of workers. And again, if you're celebrating this weekend, please be safe. Please take some time out and think about those who are less fortunate. Think about the ones who contributed. Be safe, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. September is also known for Patriot Day, which is September 11th, and that is observed to pay tribute to the victims of the 2001 terrorist attacks. International Day of Peace is on September 21st. Now, I never knew nothing about that. I never heard nothing about that in all my years of life. You mean to tell me there is a day dedicated to peace? I never knew that. So September 21st is now another one of my favorite days to promote peace and nonviolence. And September 22nd is the best day because that is the first day of fall. It is no longer summer. The heat will be gone, I hope. But it's funny how things work out. And I say that because May, we talked about mental health awareness. That month is observed for mental health awareness and breaking the stigma against mental health awareness. June, we talked about Alzheimer's, brain awareness, and men's mental health awareness. Now we're in the month of September, and we're talking about suicide. And suicide now is at an alarming rate. It doesn't matter the culture. It doesn't matter if it's male, female. It doesn't matter if it's teenager, adult. It's at an alarming rate. And to see how things play out, you know, we think about mental health awareness every day, but to know that there is a month dedicated for the awareness, the nonviolence, a day just to say, hey, we want peace. Let's be peaceful. You know, that says a lot. You know, I'm looking at things now a lot differently as I get older and wiser. And I'm taking things and I'm holding them dear to me now because it's just so much out there. And if you have been or dealing with suicide, reach out to someone. Reach out to Anointed County. I have some beautiful coaches, some beautiful mental health workers, some beautiful professionals that will help you, that won't judge you, that will keep this private, that's there for you. You would be surprised at the individuals that I have on my team. Definitely. Shout out to Kenitra Williams, psychologist. Shout out to Amber Boyd, mental psychologist. Shout out to Pastor Porter, life coach, mental health coach. Shout out to Najee Ubeliz. He's also a youth mental coach for not just the youth, but he also helps the youth when it comes to trauma and mental health awareness. I have all these people that I work so dearly with. So if you're facing that, reach out to Anointed County. I can be found on all social media platforms under Anointed County. My web address is www.anointedaccounting.com. My telephone number is 312-837-7219, or you can dial 312-632-8860. Send us an email at general, GENERAL, at anointed, ANOINTED, accounting, ACCOUNTING.com. Again, if you haven't subscribed to that YouTube channel, go on over and subscribe to Anointed Accounting. Please like, love, and share the content. It's free. You never know who's going through something, and this may benefit them. Help them. Again, check on someone and then check on yourself. I look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the 3-day holiday weekend. Be safe. Be kind to others and yourself. And I know I keep saying that, I don't think we're kind enough to ourselves. And I will see you guys next Saturday, Lord's will. Bye bye. Love you.